There was a time when bicycles had no suspension, really hard tires. Then we got pneumatic tires. That felt like an amazing form of suspension. Then the suspension fork was invented. Then we added rear suspension. But for some reason, G-Force doesn't think that front suspension is enough, or that even fat tires are enough. They have this. There's suspension here, and there's suspension here. There are 4 shocks on the back of the bike. They call it the magic suspension. I don't know how magical it is because I literally have not ridden the bike yet, but it's fully charged. I'm about to do 10 to 15 miles on it right now just to see why did they do this. All right, power's on. Got a little beeping horn there. Assist levels 1 through 5, but it's the magic suspension that has me questioning things. Make sure this is open. All right, let's see what this thing does. Okay. Kind of a slow, soft start on the motor. Cadence sensor. I think this is a 25 amp hour battery, so that's pretty big. That's easily good for 50, 60 miles. We got our first steep hill, 15 miles an hour based on the speedometer. Brakes are a little soft, so I'll try and do a few hard stops to get them broken in properly. Trying to figure out what the top speed is on this thing. I'm doing 22, there we go, we're speeding up now. And just on throttle, so this is, I don't know, I'm probably advertised as a class 2, but looks like it actually tops out at 28. Looks like the road's all mine. So there is a little bit of a trail up here. It's really, really rocky. I don't feel like this bike is really made for that. But when you put 4 shocks just on the back of a bike and you call it magic suspension, I feel like you're just begging for me to do that. So I gotta try it. I really hope I don't get a flat out here. So I feel like it's magical. I should be able to ride down this without getting off the saddle. Just a stick. It's not feeling that magical at the moment. It is really rocky though. Oh. So I kind of feel like it did it, and better than a hardtail, but I'm thinking that wasn't really better than a typical full suspension mountain bike. Ooh, this is steep. Guess I'm really trusting these brakes. This is definitely not what this bike was made for. I suppose I should consider the fact too, though, that this is a 20-inch wheel size, and it's not going to roll as nicely as a 26. And when I think about it that way, it is rolling pretty smooth compared to a typical 26-inch fat tire bike. So this trail is a bit smoother, like little rolling bumps, an occasional root. And I can just stay seated. It does kind of feel like having a suspension seat post on, but I'm still not entirely sure why 4 shocks were needed to accomplish whatever this linkage is doing. I don't think that was really necessary. All right, what do they rate this thing as power-wise? Because this is a hill, but it's not like super steep. I do feel like it's struggling a little bit. It will be interesting to see what the dyno results are or were. I don't know if I'm gonna splice that in before or after this part of the video. 3, 2, 1. Dyno software is recording. I've ridden it enough now. I have a good feeling for the bike. It seems like a pretty good value, but let's put the numbers down on paper. Is it 750 watts? Is it 1,000 watts? Let's find out. Battery on, screen on. Battery is fully charged. Kind of a soft start. But then the power picks up pretty good. Let's see what we got. It did it just barely 1,001 watt. That is pretty funny. So I recently divided up the dyno board because I have too many bikes to fit in one row. So the right side is everything under 1,000 watts and the left side is everything over 1,000 watts. So it's going to take the very bottom spot on the 1,000 watt side of the board. With 26 pound-feet of torque, it's not the lowest torque number for a bike over 1,000 watts, surprisingly. It's about average though. There it goes. But I would say those are respectable numbers, very respectable in fact, when you consider a 25 amp hour battery, full suspension. I'm not going to call it magical, but definitely is full suspension, and it definitely soaks up all the bumps. It works well. I'm just not sure you needed 4 shocks to do it. But back to what I was saying, $14.99, full suspension, hydraulic disc brakes. That's just a pretty good value. The bike really does perform well. So I do think G-Force has put together a nice little powerful bike, long range, comfortable. What more could you ask for? No, you should not be riding a bike on a gravel road and texting at the same time. But I am. Maybe it's the magic suspension. $14.99. That's actually a pretty darn good price for a full suspension bike, 25 amp hour battery, and hydraulic brakes. 1-year warranty, they have a step through and a high step. I got the high step version, which is still actually a pretty low frame. You could have a fairly short rider on this thing. So they're calling it a 750 watt motor. 28 mile an hour top speed, confirmed. All terrain tires, we just did that. And now back onto the road, so I'm gonna put the phone away. So bike is very stable. Hands off at 28 miles an hour. Braking, let's find out. Oh, brakes are working much better already. Well, let me stop and show you some close-up stuff. First, the suspension. So here's how it's set up. You have a hinge point here and a hinge point here. So this is kind of like your swing arm. Then you have a shock attached here, which normally that would be it, but then they added 2 more here, and I wish I could tell you what the reason is. I genuinely I just don't know. I'm just noticing right now that the rear brake disc is only a 160. That's a little smaller than I like to see. It does look like they put a 180 up front, so it's stopping reasonably well. I mean, it does have hydraulic brakes. Like I said, decent 25 amp hour battery. There is a smaller option, but go for the bigger one. You'll never wish that your battery was smaller. Nice little LED headlight on there. Suspension on the front, pretty basic, just a preload adjustment and then a lockout switch. The rack on the back is nice and sturdy. Don't think it's designed for a person, but it looks like it can withstand a fair amount of weight. Running a 7-speed Shimano, pretty basic budget derailleur down here. I'm sure the motor controller is mounted down here. It's kind of an interesting design, probably makes it easy to access. Black and white display, but it works. I mean, it's got the odometer, your pedal assist levels, your speed, battery bars, trip distance. Oh, it does have battery voltage if you cycle through. Still sitting at 53 volts, which is actually pretty good considering that I've already gone quite a ways. Twist throttle on the right-hand side, a horn, a beeper, buzzer, maybe, rather than a horn. It's got an integrated tail light on the back. So overall, for the price, it's a good deal. It's very well priced. It's very competitive. It's kind of a hybrid between a standard 20-inch fat tire bike and a cargo bike, because it's got a pretty decent integrated rack back there. Being a little bit shorter, I feel like they designed this for slightly smaller riders, which don't always have as many options. Link in the description where you can check out the G-Force bikes, of course. If you want to see more details on all those dyno runs, you can go to my website, area13ebikes.com/dyno. I publicly post all of the results of everything I test, and it's changing all the time.